That is a 509 block. See, the cylinder's got a little rust in them. We'll work that out. I can see that now. I can see that. She's got, look, they spray painted the valve spring, son. Son, I kept the head gasket, son.
I crack myself up sometimes. I wasn't kidding though. So here we go. This is a 400 small block Chevrolet. This is a 509 2-bolt main 400 to be specific, and it has already been bored.
That's how you know she was.
There I am fighting the water pump off of it, but
Oh, okay, there it goes. I don't know if it's got oil in it. Yeah, it's got some oil in it. Golly, son, how you gonna do me like that, Jerry? Come on, Jerry.
Jerry is the guy I got the engine off of. But anyway, so yeah, it's a 2-volt main 400 already bored, 30 over. This is a 4155 bore 400. It had a good set of hyper-eutectic pistons in it.
Got a good gasket on it.
There I am taking it apart. It ended up having a good cam in it, had a timing gear on it, had a good set of heads on it that had been worked on. It ended up being a good motor. I had a few issues. The customer said that they pulled it out of the car because it was overheating, and here's where I've identified that it did have a blown head gasket.
Blown head gasket. Look at how they done that, son. Look at where their pickup's at.
Here I am making fun of them because the pickup is very incorrectly set. There's the damper coming off of it. What I'm noticing at this point in the disassembly is that everything is quite clean and low miles.
But look, they got
Here I am
one
again,
or two. This one ain't cracked though.
making fun of them for using that drive rod on the oil pump with the plastic collar there.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'll repeat Jackson. Here I am freaked out because I'm realizing a big mistake that was made in the assembly process.
You're kidding, dude. And also right here, it would have had included with it some timing adjustment dowels or bushings that go in there for that dowel to have an offset hole in them to shift the gear one way or the other to retard it or advance it. And it don't have one in it. It still looks like it's in the center, but they didn't put one in it at all. That's crazy.
Yeah, definitely crazy.
Yeah.
Wasn't the problem that they had though that ended up causing this engine to come out of the car, but here we are pulling the cam out of it. This ended up being a great camshaft, Magnum series called cams, 530 lift and 255 at 50. It is a hydraulic cam though. I got really lucky there. If you notice that I left the oil pump drive rod in it the whole time. Big jump here. I apologize for that, but big jump from the disassembly process to here. The block is after a full block prep package, new cam bearings. The cylinders were ran through a hone. Ended up keeping them at 30 over. They ball honed wonderfully. Lifter boards worked on. Tolerances checked. The deck ended up being fine, but I did have to have the cylinder heads decked. I believe that might have been where the head gasket issue was coming. We had a little bit of inconsistency in both of the cylinder heads actually. But here we are after all that's been addressed. Here you are actually witnessing me make a huge mistake. I'm putting in a rear main seal for a 350 main. Massive mistake, total transparency, and being vulnerable here, admitting to you guys you're watching me make a massive mistake, which is that I have a box full of these 2900 Felpro neoprene blue rear main seals, and I just didn't even think about it and took the one that came out of it was in great shape, but anyway, I have a box of these rear mains and I swapped it. So that's a 350 rear main seal that I put in there, and in case you were wondering, yes, it will leak like a sieve, son. And I ended up having to go back and take that back cap off and take the oil pan off, take that back cap off, and actually change that. But here we are. Crank ended up cleaning up fantastically. It already had been ground 2020, 20 on the rods, 20 on the mains, so we've ordered a set of 20 under bearings and a set of for the rod and mains, and we're going ahead and putting it back together. It's got the cam in it. This ended up being I put the same cam right back in it. I was going to get a different cam, but decided that this cam was plenty for what I'm actually doing with this engine. I'm actually keeping this engine to put in one of my cars to go do a little bracket racing. There we are, torquing the mains up. And you can actually see there that I put the gear drive back on it, and I don't have it on video here, but last minute decided that I wanted to just put a double roller chain on this engine, and ended up taking this timing gear off and putting it in the one-piece rear 727 block 350 that we built in right around the same time as this engine. There's another video where you'll actually see this gear go on that engine. So there's not two engines with cam gears, there's just this engine with a timing gear on it, and I ended up taking it off and putting a double roller on it, and the 350 has the gear drive in it. So here we are. You can see the cylinders cleaned up phenomenally. I mean, there's no point in working that over. That you saw it at the beginning of the video where most people would have said, oh, it's too far gone, those cylinders are destroyed, and lo and behold, a Dingleball flex hone has brought them back to perfect condition. And that's not to be attributed to anything other than the fact that this engine had, before I got it, maybe had 500 miles on it before it had been completely rebuilt. Somebody bored it 30 over and cut the crank and did all this work, and then put a set of heads on it with one of them had a bad deck, and it got hot and also blew a head gasket, and that's why these guys pulled it out of the car, and it ended up with me. And here we are. We've sorted these things out and have a perfectly good running engine now. It's a set of Felpro Permatorque head gaskets with the steam hole provision. Here we are working on the set of heads after they had been disassembled and actually checked and had both of them skimmed and both of them trued up. Now both these heads are flat, and we're working on putting our spring package in them and putting our valves back in and changing valve seals. Just typical things you would do. Here I am checking installed height to see what I can afford. I wanted to use a ID locator, or at least a spring cup with this spring package. This is an inner and outer spring combo at a 1.480 diameter. We ended up having enough room to use a locator and plus a shim, and assembled these heads with a really nice valve spring in them, heavy retainer. Here we are installing the cylinder heads onto the short block, working with our just a set of like manly 6-point head studs. There we are using our high-end ATI damper installer, block of wood, and finishing off with the bolt. And only able to do this because this is a GM damper that's been on and off who knows how many times. It did smack right on there. Otherwise you would, if you were using a aftermarket high-end ATI damper or something like that, you would have to use a damper installer. You probably would not get away with smacking that on with a block of wood, but we did nevertheless. Here we are putting the lifters back in. This, like I said, is the same cam that was in it. These lifters have been marked, and soaked in oil and went right back on the same loaves that they came off of. Now here we are adjusting the camshaft. 3/8 rocker studs with guide plates and 1.5 ratio roller rocker arms with a poly nut setup. And here I am putting about a 7/8 turn on it, almost a full turn worth of preload on this thing. Now here's another issue that off camera we ended up making some changes with, was that this has a set of crappy one-piece guide plates. We end up going with a two-piece set to get better rocker arm valve stem alignment and a better set of push rods. But here it is, nevertheless. 406 cubic inches, small block Chevy with a 530 lift hydraulic flat tappet cam with about 255 and 50 on a 111, I think. Regardless of it being a used cam, I still treated it as if it had never been ran before, and it ended up running good. You guys have seen the video of just the engine running, and here it is again, and there's a little bit more insight on what that actually looked like and what the build was like, the pieces we used, context of how we acquired the engine, and the life that this engine lived before it made it into the hands of NRJ Racing. And here it is, refined and living in the newness of life. Amen. There it is, guys, putting this in that 82 Camaro to go racing with. We'll actually keep this engine. Hope you guys liked it, and be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Good things, bad things, whatever you guys can do.